Karel makes it out of the room. Functions. Karel is still late, but has made it out of the apartment. You need to help Karel get down to street level, out of the building, into the park as quickly as possible. Let's learn a new programming skill to help Karel get down the stairs efficiently. Introducing functions. A function is a block of reusable code that is used to perform a task. You can use functions to teach Karel new commands. Functions are one of the most important parts of programming. We can use functions to teach Karel a new command. Functions are designed to help break code into smaller, easier to read parts and avoid repeating code. Once you define a function such as up one step, anytime you want Karel to perform the set of commands saved in that function, you simply call the function like any other command. Let's look at the parts of a function declaration. Functions start with the function keyword, and then this is followed by the name of the function. As you will see later, functions can be called nearly anything. After the function name is a set of parentheses and an open curly brackets. Indented inside the curly brackets is the code that will execute each time the function is called. The code body should look familiar. It is the same idea as the code block that you saw with if statements and loops. Let's take a moment to compare the meaning of defining a function and calling a function. When you define a function, you are teaching Karel a new command, and you write out instructions for that new action one time. You only need to define a function once, but when you define a function, nothing actually happens. To get a function to execute, you need to call the function. When you call the function, you write the name of the function, followed by a pair of parentheses and a semicolon. Here you can see a function that is called twice. That means the function will actually execute 2 times, even though it's been defined only once. So what can you name a function? Well, pretty much anything, but here are a few naming conventions or standards you should follow when creating new functions in Karel. Every function should start with a lowercase letter and cannot have any spaces. Every word in the name after the first word starts with an uppercase letter. The function name should describe what the function does, and the name should start with an action verb like build and sound like a command. Let's look at some examples to see which ones meet the naming conventions. Here are a couple of good examples. Notice that they're descriptive, start with a lowercase letter, and new words start with an uppercase letter, and the names contain no spaces. In contrast, these names are not ideal. So let's correct them using our rules. Build tower now has an uppercase T. 5 moves becomes move 5 times to avoid starting with a number. Tower and blah blah become more descriptive. So why do we use functions? Well, we touched on this earlier, but basically we use functions to break our programs into smaller parts, which helps us simplify the problem-solving process, make the programs easier to read and understand. When others review our code, it makes it easier for them to understand it if they're put into functions, and avoid repeating code over and over. Functions are reusable and can help shorten your programs. Let's peek back in on Karel. It looks like Karel is having a little trouble. Unfortunately, the elevators are not working. Karel is going to need to take the stairs down, but Karel needs to do it as efficiently as possible. Can you use functions to help Karel get down the stairs quickly and efficiently? Think about writing functions for each part of the task Karel needs to do, and then call that function as you need it.